Hello and welcome to week 14 of statistics. Last week we investigated hypothesis testing, making a statement about a population and trying to confirm that that statement is true or false using a hypothesis test. And the results were we rejected the null hypothesis or we accepted the null hypothesis, did not reject the null hypothesis. If we accepted or did not reject the null hypothesis, we got a fairly weak response saying that we don't have evidence that the null hypothesis is false. On the other hand, if we reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternate hypothesis, then we have a stronger statement being able to say we have evidence that the alternate hypothesis is true. One of the things you really need to understand is that saying that I accept the null hypothesis or reject the alternate, or on the other hand, saying I accept the alternate hypothesis and reject the null is not necessarily the answer to the problem. We do all this work to hypothesis test to make a decision. So if I know the alternate hypothesis is true, what does that mean? Does that mean I can sue a tire company for their false advertising? Well, that's the answer then, not I reject the null hypothesis. The answer is I can sue the tire company because we have evidence they're lying to us. So you don't stop when you come to the decision of accepting the null hypothesis or rejecting the null hypothesis. You need to turn that back into terms in the context of whatever the problem was when it started. So again, this is a place where we're not just doing math problems, we're doing word problems. And again, life is word problems. So we're looking at it is using the mathematics and the statistics to actually make a decision and see what we're going to do in the future based on the outcome of the hypothesis test. So we'll review that this week. Also, we'll have a test this week evaluating how well you're doing on hypothesis tests. And let me remind you, the answer isn't I reject the null hypothesis or I do not reject, I accept the null hypothesis. The answer is what does that mean to the problem? So you need to take it that extra step and answer the problem. So after the test, we'll move on to Chapter 11, and you're asked to read the first 3 sections of Chapter 11 this week. It's expanding hypothesis testing into 2 populations. So what do we mean by that? Well, suppose I wanted to know if the average height of a student of College of Western Idaho is the same as the average height of a student of Northwest Nazarene. Well, I could take a sample of the College of Western Idaho, get their height, take a sample of the students at Northwest Nazarene, take their height, and is the average of those 2 samples the same? I could say, well, maybe the average height of the 2 student populations are the same. And we can do a hypothesis test to compare those. If their if their height of the 2 populations are the same, or the samples, if that comes out the same, we would say that x1 minus x2, or x bar 1 minus x bar 2, the average height of College of Western Idaho minus the average height of Northwest Nazarene would be 0. And so now we're working with one set of data rather than 2. And the set is the average of the sample from College of Western Idaho minus the average of the samples from NNU. And then we do a hypothesis test. Is it different from 0? If it's equal to 0, we assume that the 2 colleges have the same average height. If it's different than 0, we assume one of them is larger or taller than the other, and we do the standard hypothesis testing process. So that's where we're starting. In week 15, we'll continue that chapter and then do a review getting ready for the final. So I hope you're still enjoying the course, and good luck this week. Thank you.